Happy Thursday, everyone. Hey guys, Nick here. Super excited to be with you. It's been a little bit since we've done a space, so got some good ground to cover, some good updates. It's always nice to get together with the community and get to chat through what we've got going on in the project, and just hear from y'all. So thank you for joining us today. As I mentioned, super excited to have everybody. I'm Nick, VP of Product here, and want to basically go through some of the developments we've had with respect to the MVP. Do kind of a quick intro for those of you who it might be your first time joining us, and kind of explain what VPS is, what we're about, what we stand for, why we're here, what we're doing, what our project is, and then go into some of the MVP details, and we will go from there. Just a quick introduction. Welcome everyone. Thrilled to have you guys join us for our MA. And our mission really is to revolutionize high performance computing. And we want to do that by making GPU powered VPS, so that's virtual private servers, accessible and affordable for everyone. So in an era where the demand for computing power is skyrocketing, you guys have been living under a rock if you've not heard of ChatGPT at this point. But really, the demand and kind of where we're sitting, it's the perfect confluence of events. So you have a global renaissance for AI, and the ever increasing need for compute and data to feed that compute, so people can continue to train these models. And so being in a space where we can provide a layer of innovation on top of infrastructure positions us perfectly to really take advantage and capitalize on some of the macro trends that you're seeing across the globe right now. The demand for compute has never been higher. You have advancements in AI, you have advancements in blockchain, the metaverse. So our decentralized, no KYC platform really stands out by offering a significant cost savings compared to a lot of our competitors, and it democratizes access to this technology. So as the world evolves, the need for robust and scalable computing resources has never been more critical. And traditional infrastructure, if you listen to our AMA a while back with Pete from Kudos, traditional infrastructure is really struggling to keep up with the demand. You're seeing new data centers pop up across the globe. And it's a very capital intensive exercise to put up a new data center. And so by us, again, providing that layer of innovation on top of traditional infrastructure, we're able to scale, work with providers and partners across the globe, and access high uptime, high reliability to our services, and really, again, take advantage of some of the macro trends that you're seeing in the world. So VPS AI is really here to bridge the gap and provide reliable, efficient, cost-effective solutions that can scale. And by leveraging our platform, users can really tap into these powerful GPU resources without many of the barriers that are typically associated with the high-performance computing segment. So again, some of those things are you don't need to KYC, you don't need a credit card in order to access the services. And so that's really part of our ethos, is to democratize access to this technology. And so we wouldn't be here without y'all. So really, community is at the heart of everything we do. And so by removing the need for KYC and offering the decentralized platform, we're really opening up opportunity for millions of people who may have been excluded from the traditional financial system and access to this technology. So whether you're a developer looking to train AI models, a researcher conducting complex simulations, or an entrepreneur exploring blockchain tech, we really offer the tools that you need to succeed in today's digital landscape. So we're excited to be on this journey together with y'all and making this technology accessible. So as many of you have seen, we have officially launched the MVP. Super excited here. The team and I have been hard at work for many weeks since we really launched the project, and are excited to get it out. And so we're proud to introduce the first version of our product. We're by no means done with development, and this is really they talk about sort of an MVP, minimum viable product. I like to use the term MLP, minimum lovable product. And so that's really what we're striving for. We need to de-risk some of the usability and the technology, and that's what we've really done by releasing the MVP and allowing, I believe looking at some of the usage numbers, hundreds of users over the first week or so have connected their wallet to our DApp, signed in, and taken advantage of some of the technology and explored the product. And so by tracking usage and seeing how people are interacting with the product, answering questions that come up through support and things like that, we're able to continue to really hone and craft the product and make it even better. So again, just want to reiterate, this is really our first version. We're super excited that we were able to bring this out to market so quickly. You know, a lot of other projects talk about actually building their utility and then they never get around to it, and you're sitting there, you know, months later wondering what the heck happened to the team. So we're here, we're standing behind the product, and we're very excited to have it out. And so this initial release really focuses on delivering core functionality and really laying the groundwork for future releases that will be integrated one by one according to our roadmap. So I sort of mentioned we're looking at enhancing features and functionality, and we're continuing to work with our development team to build these new capabilities into the platform. And so our MVP really brings you the essential tools needed to harness the power of GPU-enabled VPSs, and it sets the stage for a future filled with continuous improvement and additional capabilities. But one of the standout features I really wanted to highlight is the affordability. And so we're approximately 3.5 times less expensive than major cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. And really, this significant cost advantage allows users to access these high-performance computing resources without a hefty price tag. And additionally, our platform is designed with flexibility and user convenience in mind. So users can pay with hundreds of different cryptocurrencies. In past spaces, I've talked about some of our payment integration providers. So it allows people different on-ramps or ways to access and pay for these services, including with the VPS token. And that's really, you know, designed for convenience, right? And so there's no need for credit cards, emails, or any form of identity verification beyond just your wallet address. And so this ensures not only an ease of use, but also a high leverage of privacy and security. So that's one thing that we are very proud of, is the ability or kind of how our ecosystem supports multiple different payments. We have a lot of integration set up. So there's really no exclusion, no reason in which you couldn't access the services, and we're really excited about that. And something else is our platform really offers unparalleled flexibility in managing these virtual machines. So you can start and stop your VM as needed, and your payment only reflects what you consume. So it's pay by the drink. So if you use a resource, use some compute horsepower, then you pay for it. If you stop your VM, your remaining credits immediately refunded, and it really provides that pay-as-you-go model, eliminating wasted resources and costs. So you don't have to make any upfront payments to secure any type of spot line or anything like that. You pay for what you need and only that. And we really think that's a great model. It's, you know, how I want to rent these services and how I prefer to pay for things. And so we tried to carry that belief into our product and the way that we set up our payment infrastructure. And so when restarting, you also have the option to choose the duration that best suits your needs. And this really makes it easy to manage and optimize your usage. So this flexibility combined with our competitive pricing, I think it really makes VPS AI an attractive alternative to some of the traditional cloud players that we've seen in the space that have really been dominating. And it ensures that you, as users, get the most value out of every dollar spent. So super excited about the MVP. If you've not gotten a chance to check it out, I highly suggest you do so. You can find links through both the website and in Telegram. Reach out to any one of us. We're happy to share. We love your feedback. We love you guys to connect, you know, give us opportunities or you know, suggestions for how we might improve it. And then again, as I mentioned before in some of the spaces, you know, we really want you to use it and take advantage of it. You know, we built this tool for the community. We built this tool for users out there who need access to these services. And by getting the MVP out, this will really allow us to quickly incorporate user feedback into the development cycle and ensure that we continue iterating and building a product that is even more successful, scalable, flexible, and used by, you know, more people. Which then the benefit to the community is that then the token, you know, retains its value, can be used for the currency within the ecosystem. And you look at some of the revenue sharing opportunities. So super excited. You know, definitely looking forward to continued development with the team on that front. And, you know, want to talk a little bit more about kind of just overall what's going on in the landscape. Why does this matter? You know, kind of keep coming back to our fundamental purpose. And our platform is fully Web3 functional, doesn't require KYC, and it operates in a decentralized manner. So it's really opening up opportunities for up to 2 billion people who lack access to traditional banking services, couldn't get access to these types of products. Competitive pricing, again, I mentioned we offer up to a 600% savings compared to a lot of the major cloud providers. Um, and then we also serve as an aggregator and a service provider, connecting users with the best infrastructure providers worldwide. So a couple of the AMAs we've gotten a chance to talk with Pete from Kudos, great guy. He's providing some of the kind of physical infrastructure and then some of the DPIN, and then we're able to connect users through our layer of innovation to not only Kudos but then other infrastructure providers around the world taking advantage of these underutilized resources. And that's part of what allows us to kind of that market maker capability that we have really allows us to provide and pass along those cost savings. Because if you have a resource or an asset sitting underutilized or unutilized, any type of utilization is going to benefit you as the asset owner. And so by connecting supply and demand through our marketplace like that, we're able to not only pass along those cost savings to the end user who need these compute resources, but then we're also able to, somebody that owns some of that infrastructure, they can recoup some of the cost of that asset, right? Because as you guys know, the GPUs, they're not inexpensive, especially acquiring a ton. If y'all saw NVIDIA's earnings yesterday, mad profit. So they're obviously doing very well, and the demand has really never been higher for these types of resources in this compute. And so I really do think we're at a great opportunity and a great time in this space to be working on this technology that we are. We have, wanted to talk about, we have a couple pilot projects going on. So something that we're still working through. It's kind of, early days, but it's not only end users that need access to high performance compute, but it's other like blockchain based projects. And not only blockchain based projects, but, as we mentioned, sort of entrepreneurs, researchers. So we are in talks with multiple different entities, and it's a little bit more, if you guys can think of it more of like a B2B sales model. So direct to consumer, we do, B2C, so business to consumer. Our B2B sales, and this is through a lot of the connections that the team has in the space, we are able to reach out and connect with some individuals who, researchers, people who are looking to do some advanced computational modeling through their own AI training, reach out to them and offer these compute services at a fraction of the cost that they might be able to get through some of the traditional computing services. And so what that allows us to do is lock in some of those, what you consider more like enterprise customers who are going to take advantage of this, and allows us to not only scale the product through dollars coming in for an R&D budget, but also gives us access to some very smart individuals and understand their needs. And a lot of times these businesses, researchers, things like that are kind of leading the consumer space as far as what's possible technologically. And by understanding their needs and kind of the resources, the services, the products that they need to do their job and to make some of these scientific advancements, we really position ourselves well to then cascade that technology down to regular users. And it's kind of, you'll see a lot of advancement go on, and then it benefits end consumers. And so I think that's a really interesting model that we're exploring. You think about some of the pilot projects, really allows us, like I said, to connect with people, continue expanding our circle, expanding who we're talking to, get into more rooms. And, it's beneficial, right? A lot of business is networking, and a couple really strong enterprise clients will be huge for us. So the team's working really hard to make those connections. Like I said, we've got, typically you start out kind of with a pilot project. And so they're going to, give you a small functional set of requirements and things that they need to do. You'll typically have we have inbound and outbound sales team, a pretty small team. So we're sort of all just managing it together. Connect those individuals, work with them, spin up some of the compute resources and see if we can meet their needs. And then ideally get them, signed onto like some type of contract. And that, again, is great for us. You kind of get into more of a SaaS-based model, especially if you can have some type of, 6-month, year-long type contract where you have a enterprise-like client with typically pretty strong funding who has need for your resources, and you basically connect them, because the last thing a scientist wants to deal with when they're trying to train an AI model is the need for hunting down cutting edge GPUs, right? They're focused on a different part of the value chain, and so by taking away some of that complexity for them, they're willing to pay that premium to us. We handle that, and then they're able to get to work. So some really exciting pilot projects that we've got going on. I'm keen to let y'all know a little bit more about those as we continue. It's needs to be a little bit private right now, but definitely looking forward to sharing details with the community as we continue working on locking down some of those clients. Looking ahead too. So from like an earnings and distribution standpoint, so something that we're really excited about, right, is that how the platform really benefits the community. So as I mentioned a couple times, we're operating on like a revenue generating model, or excuse me, revenue sharing model. And so one of the most exciting aspects of the platform is really how it's going to benefit everyone. And so revenue generated from our services are distributed back to the token holders, really creating a sustainable and rewarding ecosystem. And so by using VPS tokens for payments, users can also enjoy discounts and further drive demand for the token. So it's kind of a virtuous cycle. And that's really what you want to create is, they have a concept and product called growth loops. And if you can build functionality into your product such that users, by using it, help drive awareness and kind of that top of funnel, what we call acquisition, into your product. So you can think of like a share feature. If somebody shares access to your product because they might get some type of discount, that's their incentive. But by sharing it, they bring in somebody who might not be aware of your product. And so you have customer acquisition costs. You want to keep your customer acquisition costs low so you can drive sustainable business. And so by having the token, by having the community, by building these virtuous cycles and these growth loops into our product, it helps us really generate the revenue and the income that we need to further development, while also, most beneficially for you is driving demand and driving that top of funnel acquisition such that we get more and more users using the platform, using our ecosystem, spending VPS inside for services, which drives up value and allows us to then share more revenue with the community. So super excited about that. I think it's a really great model that we've set up. Something that is, I think, people talk about what are real world value or, real world applications of some of the blockchain technology and sort of the ability to do tokenization of physical assets. So if you think about something like DPIN or some of the physical infrastructure, being able to tokenize ownership of that is a really neat application of the technology. And so an abstraction of that would be what we're doing with revenue sharing for the platform. So something else that we are sort of a sneak peek, things looking ahead. While we are super excited to work with infrastructure providers and not deal with some of the complexity of physical infrastructure, there are some neat opportunities in the space, especially if you can get your hands on some of the more high-end GPU and compute resources. And so something that we have been exploring, especially QR CEO, very well connected, is looking into some of the hardware opportunities that might be out there that would allow us to offer some very niche and specialized compute resources that would go, above and beyond. And so you can think of some of the demands for these enterprise partners that we're looking at working with. From a pilot project standpoint, they have very specialized demands and needs that they have for training these models, right? Not just any old GPU is going to suffice. And so we have access and we're in talks to potentially acquire some very specialized hardware that would allow us to offer a different service level or a different tier of VPS capabilities that might not be available or is not widely available with our competitors or in the space. And I think, by standing up some of those resources also sort of lets us dip a toe into some of that DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, and allows us to, look to scale in ways that we might not have available to us. So we're super excited about that. given we already have the infrastructure and the technology to do some of the fractional ownership of those resources. It's a great way for us to then involve the community. And it's a great way to generate passive income through ownership of the token and through some of our business opportunities from that standpoint. So I think that really wraps up the space for today. Just wanted to drop in, catch everybody up with what's going on. Give you a little bit of an update on our MVP. I know that some of the listeners might be your first time in, and so wanted to maybe go through kind of what VPS is, what we stand for, what we think is important, and would really like to just open it up to questions and get an opportunity to talk. And if you guys would want to chat, if you're a little bit shy, that's totally fine too. You can send a message. We'll try to monitor the chat and see if we can answer a couple questions. And as I think Echo mentioned in the Telegram chat, we were going to have one of our partners come on and speak today. He's unfortunately tied up. He's at an event this weekend, and so he had a couple meetings. I come up, I believe. And so we're looking forward to splitting this space into another smaller space where we're going to catch up with Thomas there. But, we're definitely looking forward to that. So hopefully this is a good one, and I'll open the floor up to questions. Yeah, go ahead, Rugrat.
How's it going, Nick? Thank you again for allowing us to ask questions. As the market continues to heat up and we're seeing the sentiment start to change and we're seeing some excitement in the market, um, how does VPS plan to market the product and the community? And what does the marketing plan look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we've talked about in something that I really want to continue to emphasize, especially for people who may be joining for the first time, but the team has a lot of real world experience, and there's a balance. I think if you've been, around and doing crypto and in some of these projects for a long time, you've seen a lot of really irresponsible spending by people who have no idea what they're doing when it comes to managing other people's money. Um, and so y'all have, entrusted us to be good stewards of the company finances. And so, something that we are very cautious of and very cognizant of is how we spend our money, especially the marketing budget, because you'll see a lot of people take a lot of money, spend it on a lot of influencers or KOLs, and they will not have the type of return that you would expect. And so something that we've been doing right is ensuring that we are funneling a lot of marketing dollars that could be spent in ways that are not really going to bring a return on MVP, on the development, on things like sending our team to Dubai to do conferences and meet people. So we're going to continue working through our contacts and our connections in the industry, people like Pete, people like Thomas, attending these trade shows and these fairs and working. And then, as I mentioned earlier, sort of inbound and outbound sales, right? Because at the end of the day, we're building a product and we're building a company or we're building a business here. And so from a marketing standpoint, as I just mentioned, we want to really work on how can users who use the product also help drive awareness, and it helps us not spend too much of that marketing budget on acquiring new customers and new users. But then also we will have some of the traditional marketing that you'd expect from, sort of a Web3 based project, right? So continuing to grow the community within Telegram, continuing to work through Medium and, do things like this, do the spaces. Um, and so, uh, you know, continuing some of the traditional marketing, continuing to work with some of the KOLs who we know are trustworthy and can actually bring the right exposure to the project. Um, And then that's also why, if you look at some of our token lockup and stuff like that, we did reserve some of those to bring on sort of trusted advisors and people that we really think can help add value to the project, and who are, believers in what we're working on.
You mentioned the name Thomas a few times. Just to explain, the new partnership that was just announced is very exciting, but I'm pretty sure a lot of that went over a vast majority of the community's head. Can you explain that new partnership and provide some excitement as far as what they've done in the past for previous projects and what Thomas is doing for VPS?
Yeah, I do want to save some of it. So as I mentioned, we're going to have a whole separate AMA where we really drill in with Thomas and get to talk through it. So I'll leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger there, so we can jump into it. And so I think we're trying to schedule that for Sunday, and so we're going to do another space with Thomas, and we can go into all those details.
Can Before you get into the details why they're on this call, can you just explain what they're doing as far as helping VPS?
Yeah. So basically, working with some of the other partners and projects, it's just they bring exposure, right? And they bring use cases, they bring opportunities to try out our technology. And so pretty much all of, you think of the partners and stuff like that. That's really what they're for, right? You think of the word partnership, there's a mutual benefit to each other's projects. Um, and so, that's kind of what Thomas is doing in a nutshell. And we're going to go into that on in detail on Sunday.
One last question. Um, uh,
Yeah.
the, Prior to that announcement, another amazing announcement was the picture of being a validator on the Shibarium blockchain. It, the the Shib army is a really vast army. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that gets you excited?
Yeah, totally. So as I mentioned in kind of some of the pilot project section a little bit, um, there are numerous different entities that need access to computing resources, right? So you've heard some of the times I've spoken, it's anyone from somebody unbanked who is trying to spin up a website for a business, all the way to other major projects or even blockchains that need compute resources in order to do like validation. So as you guys know, or you may know, GPUs and the ability to do some of the complex mathematical equations that are required to validate the blockchain and essentially write a new node or write a new block. Um, that is most efficiently done through using GPUs. And so other chains that want to essentially leverage compute resources to create additional validators look for infrastructure providers to basically help them with that. And so what we're able to do then is offer our services to other chains that would be looking to spin up another validation node. And so that's what we are consistently reaching out through some of our contacts in the space and seeing how we can leverage our infrastructure and especially the cost savings that we're able to provide by, again, kind of that marketplace and connecting underutilized or unutilized supply with that demand. So very excited to be working with some opportunities like that. Um, and I think I spoke to a couple of the early spaces, but we can, creating these validator nodes is quite a task from a technological implementation standpoint, right? It requires a lot of specialized knowledge. And so something that we are looking at doing, right, is how can we make that process simpler? Because at the end of the day, other projects, I don't think the value add is really whether or not they can set up all of the network configurations and routing protocols and scale and stuff like that for the validator nodes. It's really the technology built on top of the node. And so if we can make that easier for those other teams, that's a big value add and a benefit to them and why they'd be willing to work with a project or a business like ours as compared to some of our competitors. So super excited about that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Let me see if we got any other questions. Yeah, go ahead.
As we continue to, as VPS continues to evolve, and I'm seeing the excitement build, and again, as the market sentiment changes, are there any plans for VPS to join other project spaces? Maybe not particularly to talk about VPS entirely, but to have a value added proposition. Any plans for that?
Yeah, definitely. So we did a podcast. I think it was kind of podcast recording, but another space a couple weeks ago. And we're definitely looking at, and you kind of asked the question about marketing too, right? Is a good way to get exposure is to go talk to other communities, other projects that could be looking to utilize our resources and exposing, driving exposure and awareness to our project. And so we're definitely, Echo's doing a fantastic job reaching out kind of from a comms department standpoint and putting us in touch with other opportunities. We've got multiple threads going on Telegram and WhatsApp with a lot of these other projects and are, kind of meeting with them in different stages of discussion to try to do some of that cross promotion, cross branding, and drive awareness to each other's project from like a partnership standpoint, but then also to drive acquisition for our own resources. So definitely something that we're working on. And we also want to, go through, partners like Thomas, right, and leverage his network um, to continue drive awareness to our project.
By no means do I consider VPS to be a meme project. I definitely take this project serious for what it does, but I don't want to negate or devalue the meme energy that's out there in the market, the excitement, the community. But I would definitely like if it's possible. I know that you be the one that's leading a lot of these projects, and I know you're busy in the background. But it would definitely be nice to just see VPS in some of these other X spaces. Just seeing the icon in there, it just gets us all excited. But I'm just really excited for everything's to come, and thank you for answering my questions.
No, I really appreciate that. I think that's great feedback. We can absolutely work to make ourselves well known in the space. I think the team very much is. But definitely appreciate the feedback on making sure that we are engaging other communities as often as possible. It's a great suggestion. Let me check too on our thread team. Do we have any questions that came in through Telegram that we want to address? Anybody seen anything? All right, y'all. Well, if we didn't get to you or you do think of something a little bit later, feel free to reach out to any one of us through the chat or through DM. We're happy to answer your questions. We're trying to be as transparent and as open as possible. Um, as we mentioned, our community really is super important to us. And so let me see. It looks like we might have had one question come in. What is the biggest obstacle to the growth of VPS AI, if any? How does the introduction of GPU support enhance the company's growth? Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of touching on this too, if you think of, obstacles for growth, it's a lot of the traditional obstacles that any business would face. It's driving awareness to your product. There's 24 hours in a day. You're sleeping for a chunk of that, and then the rest of the time you're bombarded with advertisements and marketing, and everybody out there is competing for a sliver of your attention. And so I think not only our product, but Coca-Cola, Frito-Lay's, anybody out there, they need to drive a little bit of awareness into your day. And so biggest obstacle for growth, right, is that the tech space, depending on where you're at, it can be scary, can be confusing. Web3, there's a lot of opportunities to improve usability for kind of the normies out there and to get them used to the technology. And so it's how can we make our product extremely approachable and easy to use, and then drive awareness that we are out there. And so that again is, to Rograt's suggestion, making sure that we are engaged from a marketing standpoint and have our marketing campaigns locked down. And that we are, also out there networking and looking for some of those larger kind of enterprise accounts, if you will, that can drive some of the sustainability in our business model, and really allow us to kind of hit that, light speed, warp speed growth that we're looking for, and we want to bring everyone along on that journey. So I think with that, friends, I'm going to wrap it up. As I mentioned, we're going to do another one very soon. It looks like we're lining it up for Sunday, and we'll triple confirm that in the chat a time. And we look forward to reconnecting with everybody, connecting with Thomas. Super excited. Thanks for joining us today. And everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day.